What's going on, guys, and welcome back to yet another touchdowns to home runs. Today, I know we've been talking a lot, especially me, talking a lot about the touchdown side of this channel. You know, I'm a huge football guy, talked a lot of football, whether that be college football, a lot of SEC talk, lots of South Carolina Gamecock talk, lots of NFL talk, lots of Chicago Bears, lots of Carolina Panthers, lots of NFL playoffs, touchdowns. There's been lots of talk. Like, I love talking about football, but since the football season is now coming to a close, I think it's time we gotta start shifting to the home run side of this channel. And yes, we do talk about basketball and hockey as well, but touchdowns and home runs. So football and baseball are kind of the two biggest sports that we talk about on this channel. And baseball season is right around the corner. We got college baseball starting up in just under a month. I think that's at like 27, 26 days. At least that's when I know my South Carolina Gamecocks, that's their first pitch. That's their first game. But a team that I want to talk about today, Bernie's already done his season preview for the Toronto Blue Jays, which is our favorite team. So definitely don't be afraid to go check that out. I'm going to do another one of my favorite teams, the Atlanta Braves. Obviously, I just unboxed this jersey a couple weeks ago. I love the Atlanta Braves. Acuna's one of my favorite players. I told the story how I saw him play down in Florida in single A, and that's when I really became a big Acuna fan. But it's not only Acuna. Like, the guys on this team, there's so many guys to like on this team. One, I'm Canadian, and you have to like the former NL MVP, Freddie Freeman, the best Canadian player in baseball right now. It's between him and Votto. I would take Freddie Freeman right now at the second. I don't know about career-wise, but definitely in the second right now, Freddie Freeman is the best Canadian baseball player in the league. Dansby Swanson from Vanderbilt, very good player. Ozzie Albies. Who else do you got? Travis d'Arnaud, Austin Riley. Lots of big hitters in this lineup. They had Marcell Ozuna last year. He is now in free agency. He has not chosen a team yet, so I don't know if he's going to come back to the Braves or not. But there's still lots of players to like on this baseball team. And I think I have really high hopes for this team this year. Obviously, they play in the toughest division, in my opinion, in baseball. The NL East, you got them, the Braves, who made the NLCS last year, fell short to the Dodgers after blowing a 3-1 lead. It was tough. LA's a really good team, but if you're up 3-1, you feel like you should be able to win that series. It's never nice to lose a 3-1 series. Just ask either the Golden State Warriors or the Cleveland Indians, or the Cleveland baseball team. Sorry, I apologize for that. For those of you who want me to be more technical on the name, because that is their official team name now. What was I going at? The Dodgers were a good team, but you drop a 3-1 series. It sucks, but they have a really good team. So going through the rest of the NL East, you have the Braves. You have the Nationals, who just won the World Series 2 years ago, had a very disappointing season last year. Not at all what I expected. The Mets are actually an up-and-coming team. Like, the Mets are actually looking really good this season. You have the Miami Marlins, who made the playoffs last year, let's not forget. Like, this is the worst team in baseball coming into that season. The team that everyone makes fun of, it was either the Marlins, the Orioles, or the Detroit Tigers. The Marlins made the playoffs last year. They got a young, talented team over there in Miami. And then last, you had the Philadelphia Phillies, who just reported today that JT Realmuto is coming back to them. You got Bryce Harper, obviously. You got some really good players around that team. They have some star power on that team. They haven't been able to use it. The pitching has been very poor for the Philadelphia Phillies. But they have the capability, in my opinion, to be a good team. They just haven't been able to prove it over the last couple of years. Stacked division in baseball. Absolutely stacked. Another really good division. Like, I call this team the best division in baseball, because you look at the other divisions. Who do you have? Obviously, the NL West, people are going to say that they're up there just because of the Dodgers and the Padres. But the rest, like the depth after that, the Rockies, the D-backs, and the Giants, it's just not the same as when you have the depth of this NL East division. NL Central, the Cubs have dropped off a lot. The Reds and the Cardinals and the Brewers are up there, but then you have like the Cubs and Pirates, who are looking pretty weak this season. AL East, which obviously has my Toronto Blue Jays. You have the Jays. You have the Yankees. The Jays are actually looking really good this season. You got the Rays, who are a really good team, made the World Series last year. But then you got the Orioles and Red Sox, who are just figuring things out at this point. AL Central, White Sox, Tigers. The Tigers stink. White Sox are good. Twins are decent. Cleveland baseball team, decent. I wouldn't say that there's anyone. Royals aren't that good. There's no one in that division really that like catches your eye. And then last, the AL West, you got the Angels, you got the A's, you got the Astros, you got the Mariners, and then you got the Texas Rangers. So I think by far, out of all the MLB divisions, I take the NL East. I take the NL East 10 times out of 10. That's how good they are. Let's get into this Braves season, because this is a team that is playoff hopeful, not hopeful. This is a team that knows they're going to make the playoffs, and that's their expectation. At least you have to make the playoffs for the Atlanta Braves this season. That's what all the fans expect. That's what all the players should expect. That's what all the coaches should expect. That's what all the executives should expect. This team is a playoff-ready team, a team that should easily make the playoffs. Now, I don't want to say easily, because in baseball, anything can happen. I think that's the beauty of the sport, where you see like teams that obviously aren't in the best financial situation, like the Tampa Bay Rays, teams that don't have the money to compete with the big boys like the Yankees, or you got the Dodgers and teams like this. The Rays still made the World Series. It's not about what star players you have on this team. This isn't basketball. It's about how those players work together and who can get hot at the right time, and that will make you great in baseball. And you see a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, they don't have the money to pay the big boys, but yet they still make the World Series last year. This is a team in the Atlanta Braves who expects to make the playoffs, as they should. I'm not saying that it's easy. That's what I was getting at. It's not easy. Nothing's easy in baseball. But this is a team that definitely has the capability to make the playoffs. And they're looking towards not only the playoffs, they're looking towards that NLCS, winning the NL this year and making it to a World Series. Because in my opinion, this is a team easily capable of both of those things. Making it back to the NLCS. They made it last year. They have a chance. They had a chance to win it last year. Fall short to the Dodgers. If they win that, who knows? They go on and win the World Series. We don't know what happens because it never happened. This lineup is really good. This lineup is the heart and soul of this team, because they score, what do they average? 5.6, around that, runs per game last season. This is a team that scores runs, and like their pitching isn't that strong. We know that. Their pitching isn't anything special. The ERA around them was like 4.3 or something like that. They were allowing 4 runs a game. But when you have an offense that's averaging 5-6 runs a game, like something like that, you're going to be very successful. And it starts from Ronald Acuna, who's probably going to be the leadoff hitter again this season. You have the star right fielder, center fielder, whatever you want to call it. He plays in the outfield. He had a bit of a disappointing last season. Like, what did he bat? He only batted like 250, hit about, I think it was 16 home runs. I think it was 14 home runs. Just pull up the stat sheet right here. 40 hits, 11 doubles. He had 46 runs in 160 at-bats. Yeah, only batted 250, had 60 strikeouts. For a player that can easily be a top 2 player in the league, you have Trout. Trout's obviously going to be that number 1, 10 times out of 10. And then number 2, you have a bunch of guys. You have Acuna, definitely is capable of being the number 2 player in the league. Fernando Tatis Jr., definitely capable of being the 2 player in the league now. Guys like Cody Bellinger, he's a really good player. He has the capability. Mookie Betts, tons of guys like that. Acuna has the skills. He has the pop off his bat. He just didn't put it into action last season, and you only have 60 games. Like, this isn't a full season. But you had other guys on this Atlanta Braves team carry the torch. Freddie Freeman, obviously winning the MVP, bats .341 for the Braves last season. What did he have? 13 home runs. Marcell Ozuna, who's obviously, we don't know if he's going to come back to the team. 18 home runs for them last year. He batted .338. You had d'Arnaud, the catcher, which catcher is a position in baseball that is getting rarer and rarer as the seasons go on for finding good catchers. Batting over 300, batting .321 for the Atlanta Braves. You have Dansby Swanson batting .274. You got some good players on this team after Acuna, who's your obvious star player. Pitching is going to have to be absolutely key for the Atlanta Braves this season if they want to be successful. Averaging 4 runs a game, you got to be lower than that if you want to be a really successful team. Yes, your lineup is putting up 5+ runs a game, but that's not every single game. That's an average. So some games you're going to score up in the 8s, the 10s, or something like that, but not every game you're going to see this Atlanta Braves lineup go out and put up that amount of numbers. Some games they're going to put up 1, some games they're going to put up 2, some games they're going to put up 3. Can you win those games where your team, where your lineup only puts up 3 or less runs? And I think that's a key factor. And there's a stat that goes around, like, every baseball team will win 60 games and they'll lose 60 games. It's those middle 40 games that determine how your season goes. and where you line up in the standings and how you line up in the playoff situation, you gotta be able to win those close games, because as much as your pitching isn't going to be consistent every single game, your lineup also isn't going to be. So you're going to have to be able to limit teams to one or less runs in some games to be able to come out with a win in those middle 40 games that I talked about that can get you to the playoffs. That could be the difference between you being the 1 seed in your league or you just missing out in the playoffs or making a wild card game. Big difference. Last season, you had Fried with the most starts in the season. He had 11 starts, went 2.25 ERA. It's not terrible for your main pitcher, for the guy who started the most games. 2.25 is a pretty good ERA. Obviously, you see guys in the ones. That's where you want to be at if you're the main guy. But 2.25, nothing to complain about there. Other than that, Ian Anderson had, 1.95 ERA this season. The rest is where the Atlanta Braves really struggled. Like, you look at the rest of the ERAs of their rotation. You had Wright at 5.21. You had Tucson at 8.88. You had, who else? Tomlin at 4.76. You had Erlin at an 8.49. Like, these are all the top starters, the guys who started the most amount of games for the Atlanta Braves this season. It was not good ERA performance, letting up tons of different runs, and you just got to limit that somehow. You got to find some, whether that you go out in free agency, there's still some guys left to be taken at. The Braves got to add to this rotation somehow. The relievers have got to do better. They got to limit the amount of points, or not the amount of points, the amount of runs that they're allowing each and every game, because that's going to be the difference maker in this season for the Braves. If their pitching rotation could get going, if they can establish a 1-2-3 punch that you can go on a weekend series, if you have your one guy going, if you could sweep that series, the 4-5, obviously you want them to be different, but when playoff scenario comes, if you have a 1-2-3 punch that can get you those first 3 wins, or that can get you to go 2-1, that's when you start to see success. That's when you start to see the batting lineup hit really well, because when your pitcher's pitching with confidence, the batters feel a lot less pressure that they have to go out and score runs, and they just play like how they've been playing all season. It's honestly that simple. So the Braves, I expect big things from them this year. I expect the lineup to do really well. I expect Acuna, Freddie Freeman, guys like that to be up in the MVP race again. We could see Freeman go out and win another MVP. We could see Acuna go and do the same thing. Acuna's a speedster. I'm hoping for him to hit 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases this season again. I think he did that a couple years ago. Unbelievable player. Then you got guys like Ozzie Albies. You got guys like Dansby Swanson. You got guys like Travis d'Arnaud who are there to not be those star players, but they are the key players that are going to flip the lineup. Those are the guys who are going to play counterpart to those star players, and those are the guys that you need to step up for this team to be successful. Because look at a guy like Mike Trout and the team that he's on. Yes, he's got talent around him now in LA, but as he's made one playoff game his whole career. Star players don't mean anything if the rest of your team isn't that good. And I see a lot of talent on this team. I see a lot of opportunity on this team. And I see the Atlanta Braves being able to make the World Series this season. Will they? We'll have to watch and see this season. But thank you so much for tuning into this video, guys. I appreciate it. Definitely like down below. Comment anything about the Atlanta Braves. Subscribe. Definitely subscribe, because I'm going to do a couple more previews for a few more teams. And thank you for watching. And definitely come back next time.